Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to the GTRM 2022 Finale from gt-rennserien or hosted by gt-rennserien. This is the 9th race in their season and we are at Mount Panorama in Bathurst, one of the most iconic, most challenging and let's say least or most rewarding tracks, to say it this way. And yeah, we've got quite a lot of racing action to go. We've got currently 14 cars on track, but all highly competitive. This is, for those who don't know it, mostly German or German community who runs the season, but we also have some international names. You can take a look at those a bit later. But yeah. The championship is already decided, but this is no problem. We still will see a lot of racing action. I can assure you that. We have a wide spread of cars, which we will go into later as well. And yeah, we are currently watching from the top of the mountain, top of Mount Panorama, at the skyline sequence of turns and at the back straight running down to the chase. And we've got 30 minutes of qualifying ahead, so quite a lot of time for the drivers to put in their times. And this glitches a bit, wherever it does. Yeah. Here we got our already crowned champion, Yannick Mund, in the Corvette, and just a little wallbang. Can happen, isn't the biggest problems in racing. Just shouldn't do it too hard and too often, and you will be fine. Usually. So yeah, our champion of this season got crowned champion last race, and a bit too early on the power, but still, as said, 26 minutes, more than enough time to put in a valid lap. So that's that. Yeah, then we see one of the international guys who joined gt-rennserien for this race. HAVIT, very known name in the racing community nowadays. Been part of the community for quite some time. And also been pretty successful in recent races in the ranked championship, for example. And is looking to score some points and some respect, I guess, in this race. In the only BMW we have in this grid, but still in practice he already showed how fast this thing can be. Very well balanced car, very good for a track like Mount Panorama. We've got alongside the Corvette of Yannick Mund another Corvette driven by Marco Sharon, also a well-known name in the racing community, especially in KCG as well. After his staggering performance in the McLaren 650S at Road America 2 weeks ago. Or 1.5 weeks ago, better said. So yeah, he's in the Corvette. Just trying to find if I can see some standings somewhere. So yeah, Marco Sharon third in the standings on 92 points. Can still catch up to Mr. Minimi. We'll talk about him a bit. He was in second on 100 points. So that's the second Corvette. Got currently also with the purple sector 2, but the times will drop more across the session, so I think we can expect a bit better times for in the next 20 minutes, especially near the end when everyone's got their safe lap in. People are gonna push and try to just set a better lap time than they have. So yeah, let's talk about Mr. Minimi, obviously the admin and the guy behind gt-rennserien actually. Currently qualifying time in third, but as said, this doesn't have to mean much. He's in second position in the standings. and basically just needs to finish somewhere in the 5th position to become, yeah, champion. Not champion. I'm sorry. To become the winner. What am I talking about? To get 2nd place in the standings. That's correct now. The point system is as follows. There are points for qualifying and for the race. So there are, what did I say? There are no points for qualifying, there are just some for the race. Sorry, it was a bit on short notice, but yeah, P1 gets 25 points, P2 20, 16, 13, 11, 10, all the way down to P15. So if everyone finishes, they will all get points. And this essentially means if Mark Shadron should, for example, come in 2nd, Mr. Mini needs to get in 4th. If Mark Shadron should end up winning the race, from pole position in this example, he would need to get P2, so he just needs to be 1 position behind depending on where Marcus Shadron finishes. But this can be very tight because especially the gaps at the front positions are quite big in terms of points, rewarding points. So they both need to get through the race flawless. Then in 4th in the standings, we've got Hendrik Newland. Let's take a look at him. Another one of the Audis in the 71. This is T3. The cars are all GT Master cars from 2018 and 2020. So we see some Lewis we are not seeing that often, I feel like. So yeah, he is 4th in the standings, 70 points. Can't get 3rd, but he still has to defend from a couple of drivers who are all close behind. We've got Marcel Löcken and Alex Render in 5th and 6th on 67 points. So we've got Marcel Löcken in the Mercedes, currently in 7th position, but as I said, times will drop a bit, I think. And Render isn't in the race today, unfortunately. So Marcel Löcken is, if he can finish the race, definitely gonna take this position, but he can still get in front of Newland. This will be very tight between the 2 of them. Then Ishimi also not in the race today, unfortunately. And also still have a shot at this. A bit out of contention for this position, but also not here today would be Andreas Renner, who would be on 58, and the last one who could take 4th in theory, just in theory, would be Stefan Förster, who also isn't here today. So basically P4 will come down between Newland and Löcken. But further down we have still many points up for grabs, especially with the guest starters and the people who raced only on a few races, like David Kulas. In 16, 22 points, but he can move up a few positions. Jörn Decker as well in the Porsche and the Precourt Herbert Motorsport Porsche. Can also still move up quite a few positions just by finishing. Just trying to check for other names. Got one who joined GT-rennserien recently, Michael Fair. Let me find him, there he is. And yet another Audi, in the Retronic Audi, in the 2nd one. He can still move up a lot of positions. So, yeah, there's also ground to be made up, basically. If that makes sense. And yeah, we've also got one of the familiar faces from the Ranked Championship, GT3's Thorsten Borchardt. One of the guys who got caught up in the chaos of the race, but let's see what he can do this time. Should be much cleaner, and also obviously much fewer cars, so more space between the cars, which is for racing usually quite good. But yeah, in another 8, currently in 3rd position, also a very good place to be in at this track. I mean, obviously you want to be on the front row, but if you know what you do, you can basically jump the cars in front, especially in a car like an R8 or Porsche, also a very good car for the starts. But we have a rolling start here, much like in KCG, if you have seen that one. They are pretty similar, so you have 1 lap behind the safety car. And then a manual rolling start where the leader decides when to green flag the race. So 3rd place might have a little or small advantage over 2nd place actually, because for him it's obviously easier to judge when the car in front accelerates. So maybe he's able to jump position there. Currently on Marco Shadron. So who else do we got who we haven't talked about? We haven't talked about Dirk Pfeiffer in his now iconic Bentley for him, I guess. So Dirk Pfeiffer in the Bentley combination you really should have an eye on, because he knows that car very well. I think he has more hours in this car than some have in the entire game. So yeah, he's shown it at KCG. This time he actually qualifies as well, so he won't start from the back of the grid. And yeah, this will be very interesting, I guess. Then we've also got Lawrence Sargmeister in the AMG. Should be Winward, I think. Wow. Yeah, should be Winward. And 11th position, also long-time member of the GT-rennserien community, if I remember correctly. Let's see if I can. He's not listed in the standings as far as I'm concerned. Not that I could see it. Then we've got Gerd Schröder in the in another AMG, which is, it has the same livery as Master Löcken, but if you take a look, it's actually both the Evo. You can easily see it on the front grille. So it's got 2 times the same car. Not to get confused with it. Also, no, actually Master Löcken has the non-Evo and Gerd Schröder has the Evo. So there's a slight difference in the grille in the front, and obviously the diffuser of the AMG Evo is much bigger. Those are the 2 key differences in terms of optics between the 2 of cars. There we can also see the safety car, which is driven by Martin Baumgartner, who will lead us into the formation lab. So yeah, that's Gerd Schröder, and then we've got Gynekologe in the 2nd Porsche by SSR Performance. He's also one who can still make up ground in this championship. He sits currently in 15th, 25 points. So he can still move up in theory, even though it would be very tight to P9, P10 much more likely. But yeah, can definitely make up a few positions here. 3 cars in front not scoring points today. So let's see what he can do. Currently 13th and last from the ones who set a time. Got one who hasn't set a time in, that is Florian Arendt in the 2nd Land Motorsport Audi. Very beautiful liveries, if you ask me, but nobody cares, I guess. So yeah, Florian Arendt also very good contender for good points today. I mean, he doesn't fight in this championship. It's his first race, much like Dirk Pfeiffer. So it's just all about having fun, having nice fights, and he sure is one of the racers who can have those. Showed a lot of entertainment at the Road America 2.4 hours at KCG, fighting with Mike Kirkott, Amrad Rea and a few others. So let's see what he can do. Still 40 minutes of qualifying to go. And I think now it's about time we can look at some times. Yannick Muntz seems to be improving again on his time. Currently also on pole with a 2:02.7. Very good time. Now down into the last corner. think it's Murray's corner. And across the line, is it an improvement? It is, sure is. It's a 4/10 improvement. 2023, and there we can see for an hour actually. Now also running out of pits. And Marco Shadron also on his way to improve his time. Purple in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Now can he keep it together in Sector 3? There's one car in front. Seems to be Mr. Minimi, if I'm not mistaken. And now down into the chase. Very easy to lose time. Throttle, for example, for 2000 throttle. I'm sure it is Mr. Minimi. Maybe he gives him a little bit of slipstream. And now I just lost out 4/10 on the last sector, so not enough there. David Kulas now coming out of the pits and trying to get out of the way, but Mark Shadron already abandoned his lap. Samini also undergoes to abandon his lap. So let's see. Thorsten Borchert still in P3, 9/10 down on the Corvettes. Or Nanik Mun to be specific, 5/10 down on Marco Shadron. And very close behind, only 400s, is Mr. Minimi, who we just watched, who currently still is in the pits. So between the two Audis, there's not much to differentiate themselves from each other. Could be very interesting in the race, depending on how their race pace differs. This is on the same level as in qualifying in terms of difference between the two of them. This could be a very interesting fight. In fifth currently, quite a big gap to the cars in front as well so far, David Kulas. But we also have to see the gaps in perspective. It's a 2-minute lap, so 1.7 seconds on this track would be something like 1 second on a normal Nürburgring, Hockenheim, whatever, would be less, so 1.7 seconds isn't actually that much. But yeah, currently in 5th spot, David Kulas. Also have to consider the different cars have different strength in the long run. Surely the Audi and the Porsche are the two worst out of the cars we have on the grid. I think by far the best one should be the Bentley, because the Bentley just has such a good fuel run. So yeah, basically fuel will be a race deciding factor, because we have a 75-minute race. The most cars only feature fuel for around 65 minutes, especially the Porsche with its quite small fuel tank compared to other cars, and the Audi with this high consumption. And we have 5 Audis and 2 Porsches out of 14 cars. But they should make up some ground on pace. Then we have the AMGs, BMWs, and the 2 Corvettes, which are mediocre, I'd say. They have to refuel. I don't think you can make it without fuel saving, but I think they all will refuel because it should be faster here. But not as much as the other 2 cars, if my memories are correct. And then we've got the Bentley. I don't know if he will quite make it, but I think with only minor fuel saving compared to the other cars, it should be able to make it. But we will see about that. But that's a huge benefit of the car. Even though if it's not always the fastest, or in Dark Coolers hard into the wall, you don't want to do that in the race especially. Yeah, if you don't have to refuel, you don't have to shut on the car, you don't have to restart the car after the pit stop, and that alone will gain you quite some ground. So strategically choosing such a car is a good factor to decide the race in the end. Important thing is that you can also make it work if you have, let's say, a higher fuel consumption like I usually have. I'm burning my fuel quite fast, let's say, sometimes. Depends on the car and the class, but in GT3 I somehow always burn a bit more. One very memorable story is the one of Frank van Roon as well. I just couldn't make the 60-minute race on fuel in his height. And yeah, it's very dependent on your right foot, I'd say. But if you can make it, then a Bentley wouldn't help you that much. But then you can use, if you have the pace, by burning more fuel, you can choose, for example, an R8 or any other car basically and make that work better for you. And yeah, obviously the Corvette seems to have worked for Yannick Mund very well. Meanwhile, Henrik Newland just losing it down Skyline. Or the Asus, I think it is. I don't know, is the drop already part of the Asus or still of Skyline? I think it's Skyline. But yeah, you just have to make the car work for you. Now Florian Arendt approaching Skyline. They can only not to basically jump down the Asus. Neat and tidy. Still has to put in a lap. Get close to the walls, and then this downhill left very tricky, especially if you just get a bit too wide. Car will just slide and or just understeer basically. So either way it's not ideal. Still warming up the tires. The lap is not valid, or it's out lap anyway. And then you got the one through the chase chicane they added to slow down cars, with some very spectacular crashes in, for example, the Bathurst 1000 and stuff. So yeah, very interesting, but very cool to drive with the flat out right hand kink and then the hard braking zone. In general, Bathurst has a lot of very special corners, which are also, yeah, caused by the way the track came to be. It's not like your usual story of workforces being needed and then rebuild a racetrack, like for example the Nordschleife, or people just wanting to build a track basically, or what else we have? Streets that have held races just being turned into a racing venue, like Spa or Le Mans or whatever. This was originally built, or let's say the towns at Bathurst needed workforces, or needed to create jobs for the people so they can earn money and feed themselves basically. And what they did, or what the people planned, was to build a racetrack, because it would also draw in people from the other race. What usually was the Bathurst 1000 nowadays was like the Bathurst 500, but in a different place. And they originally wanted to build a racetrack to host races and to draw on people and manufacturers. But yeah, the government wasn't so keen on that idea and said, no, we won't finance you that. And what they essentially then did was say, okay, we will build a scenic street or a scenic road through the hills. And then the government said, okay, that's a cool idea, we will do that. Then they built the road, and then they went like, this road is pretty good for racing, isn't it? And then they hosted basically on public roads the race, and then turned it into a racing venue, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Kind of a cool way to move around the governing body saying no, but yeah, that explains why the track is the way it is, with the uphill and downhill stuff. You wouldn't do that if you build a normal racetrack, I think, at least. Well, Fernand puts his first valid lap, and it's good enough for 5th place, 1.7 seconds. He still has time for around 2 laps. We'll be close with the second one, but at least for one more. Meanwhile, out coolers could improve here. ATEP, it's off in the second sector, but a bit down on his best time in sector 1. For the chase. Can also start one more flying lap. Behind him is Thorsten Borchardt and Markus Scherdron. Oh, a bit too much curb there. Bottomed out. Is it an improvement? Doesn't seem like it's 2 or 3.9. No, that didn't improve. Borchardt improved, but wasn't quite enough. Oh, not yet now, but over the course of the last minutes he improved. Mark Scherdron also invalid. See Henrik Newland now also coming down to the chase. Might also be able to start yet another lap after this one. But coming back to the story, it actually has had quite a cool way to just outmaneuver your government. Pretty cool idea, and this is why we have this track, because if you build a track on purpose, you won't see elevation like this and jumps, because people would just consider it too dangerous. I mean, you can argue that the Nordschleife was built with racing in mind, or as a racing venue, and also had those, but this was in the 1930s, I think. 1920s to 1930s. So yeah, it was a different time with different cars, and not, I think Bathurst was something like 1960 or something, if I remember correctly now. And at that point safety was at least in the heads of people. But the track actually is very close to what it used to be. The only thing they added was the chase and one other chicane, I think. But especially the one on the mountain, see right here, by spectating Newland. This is more or less the same. So that's a pretty good story. Only got 4 cars running at the moment, so the rest of the orders decided. Mark Scherdron came across the line, couldn't improve a 2 or 4.6 on this lap, so that's P2 for him, except Borchardt can. No, he's already across the line. Also was in front, he won't be able to finish that, so only 2 cars. Newland won't be able to challenge for the top 4, but maybe it's good enough for P5 or 6. He's on a good way to improve his time overall. Now down through Mary's corner. So Yannick Mundt on pole position alongside the other Corvette of Markus Scherdron. Then we've got Thorsten Borchardt and Henrik Newland improved his time, put it into 6th position behind Florian Arndt. Second row, Thorsten Borchardt in P3 and Mr. Minimi P4. Then Florian Arndt and Henrik Newland. That makes it all 4 Audis in the top 6. Actually, not all 4 Audis, we've got one more Audi to go. It's the one of Michael Fehr in 8th position. But 4 Audis in the top 6 seems to be quite a strong car for the lap times, at least. So then we've got David Kulas in P7 in front of Michael Fehr. Then Jörn Decker and Marcel Löcken on the 5th row, so the first Porsche in front of the first Mercedes. Dick Pfeiffer in 11th position. 2 Mercedes of Laurensmark, Marcel Gerd Schröder, and in last position for the qualifying Gynekologe in the 2nd Porsche. Now we've got 5 minutes of warm-up for the drivers to just chill out a bit, get ready for the race, prepare everything, think about strategy, setting up the cars for the race if needed, because some people do use a different setup in the race to preserve tires, which won't be much of a factor for this race, because as I said, we've got to change all 4 tires. And yeah, basically that means just go all out, you don't need to preserve tires. Naja, Mr. Minimi, 2 positions behind Marco Sharon, or right behind him on the formation. If it were to finish like this, he would be P2, because Marco Sharon would only gain 7 points on him, but see, across the 75 minutes race, a lot of stuff can happen. So that will be quite interesting. He will start on the outside, not ideal, I think, but you can swing it around the outside into turn 1, hell corner. So that's not the issue. David Kulas, our only BMW in P7, also valid effort, and he will start on the inside. Might not be the fastest car off the line, but shouldn't be. Oh, hard hit there into the wall, just lost the VR. Going down the S's. Very easy thing to do. Many people will have experienced that. Seems to have not suffered too much damage though. But it's only warm-up, so it's all fine. Can also obviously use warm-up to get used to race fuel. Or to practice your starts like Florian Arm just did there. Find your braking marker into turn 1. Which obviously is different to your normal racing line if you start at 60 kph instead of starting a lap at what, 100. Do you hit 200 before the start finish line? Yeah, a bit more than this. See, Mr. Minimi, close to 200, 190, 195 at the start finish line, so quite the difference into turn 1. But then obviously it's a long one on the first main straight where you approach the hill, then you have the sudden drop in between where you can gain a lot of speed, especially in slipstream, and the hard uphill braking zone. I think basically every corner of this track just drives very beautifully because you have a lot of different types of corners, but they also really use the elevation to make them nice. You have the uphill part where you brake uphill, can brake very late, can rotate the car very heavily without much punishment. You can easily lose it, that's the thing, but it feels very rewarding just to drive, and even if you don't hit everything perfectly, you just can keep it out the wall by having at least a lot of throttle open. Yeah, feels very rewarding for the drivers. Then you've got the Skyline and S's combination here where you can... It feels very fast when going through it, because you can go through it very fast, but also feels very rewarding if you just hit the apexes, get close to the walls, can brake very late, especially at the Skyline section. So, just practicing some starts. Also this downhill left, if you can get on the throttle very early, because you hit the apex and got super close to the wall and didn't steer in too early, it feels so rewarding for the whole straight, because it's a very long run until the next braking zone. You'll be at your rev limit for a very long time, depending on the car and stuff, obviously, but yeah, now it's time. We will see the safety car popping up in just a second. Until everyone is ready. Can already show safety car, I think. Just to refresh your memory, 75 minutes of racing action, this one. We have one pit stop for everyone, which has to be served between 25 and 75% race distance, with all 4 tires being changed. And our manual in-lap, which is also where we have a bit more time on the clock. So we see everyone accelerating, not already colliding. Getting the tires up to temperature. One of the big benefits of this style of in-lap. Can warm up the tires, because when you start your race normally, you'll have no tire temperature and no brake temperature as well. So the first lap is a bit like driving on ice, but with this in-lap you are allowed to heat up tires. You obviously will lose a lot of heat when going 60 kilometers per hour up until the race starts, but it will have some base temperature. And that definitely helps. And it also can make a difference. If you don't warm up your tires before, you might have a disadvantage to those who did. But you obviously also have to watch out not to damage your tires or not to do anything too early. So mastering the in-lap is a thing. You can also see, for example, now while driving, keeping his foot on the brake pedal to heat up the brakes. If you heat up the brakes, you will also heat up your tires, basically. A slight bit, not much. Won't be enough to just do this on my own, but it helps. That pool is getting very close. There we see the safety car. Very cool addition by Racing to have done this. I think the safety car really adds a lot of stuff, or a lot of possibilities for leaks and racing in general. And it has flashy lights. I do like flashy lights. There we go. Entering grid formation. P1 on the left hand side. P2 on the right hand side. I'm just getting side by side. Should see the safety car pulling into the pits. It already has done so. That means now Yannick Mund is on control. 60 kph up until the starting zone on the start-finish straight. I think there's a bit of confusion behind, but will be sorted out after the race. And now Yannick Mund can decide when he wants to green flag the race. He still has the pit limiter activated. And now he deactivates it and the race is green. Good start by Max Chadron as well. Very hard to judge in second position. And further behind, Mr. Minimi had the Graysat and Borchert, not the best start, losing out to Mr. Minimi and the other two Audis. It's 3 right there, close to. It's Henrik Newland having made up 2 positions there. Florian Armin also on the outside of Borchert, and seems like with Slipstream he was able to get in front 2 row of 2 race in behind. Getting very tight between the Audi of Fair and the Porsche of Decker there. But up front, it's Yannick Mund and Max Sharon close behind. Mr. Minimi has done what he needed to do, immediately getting himself into 3rd position. That's a very close train behind those. And it seems like David Kulas lost out a lot of positions to P10, started on 7th. So Borchert and Kulas, the 2. Oh, and there's problems behind the Audi off track, and that's Fair. Huge damage to the front of the car. Just could see him hitting the inside barrier there of the left-hand turn and caused him to just fly off to the opposite direction, obviously. Flying out very wide there, like what you want to do there. Maybe this gives Jörn Decker and Borchert a chance, but Decker also got past Borchert. Close to the rev limit there. Decker lifting off, Borchert also lifting. Oh, and Decker needing to avoid flowing out. They're going straight up in the chicane. That was some great reactions by the Porsche drivers as well to avoid a collision, but he lost out a lot of positions down to P9. But a good reaction there to just not hit the car in front. But obviously not ideal for the German driver. Henrik Newland into P4. Kept his nose clean at the start, just used the opportunity that has been given to him. Bit of a gap in front and a bit of a gap behind, and Michael Fair already parked it. That's very unfortunate. So he won't be gaining any positions in the championship, unfortunately. Didn't seem like there was contact involved. It's not that I could see it. It's the two Land Audis close behind with Gynekologe in P12 and Lorenz Sagmeister in P11. Also getting closer to each other. So we still got the two Corvettes leading, but Mr. Minimi slowly closing in on Mark Sherdron at the moment. So the Audi seems fast, and we've got, I think we got Schröder spun, and Gynekologe also seems to have run into some issues. And now Slipstream, Thorsten Borchert on Florian Arendt. Florian Arendt protects the inside line for the chase. Thorsten Borchert lifting out of it. Oh, and for the band, David Kulas down the inside of Marcel Löppen. And Jörn Decker watching from behind. Marcel Löppen obviously also still has some positions to gain in the championship. But so far, it looks good for Newland. Oh, and Jörn Decker down the inside, very good move there. The Porsche can the Mercedes counter-attack with its power. Dick Pfeiffer also right behind, just waiting for his chance to get by. Seems like Mercedes just lacks a tiny bit of power. And there's contact between the two of them. Decker just forcing Marcel off the track, I think. Means Marcel lost out another position to Dirk Pfeiffer. Oh, and Marcel hard into the wall, hitting the inside wall and then the outside. So his suspension doesn't have too much damage, and Dirk Pfeiffer alongside Jörn Decker now up the hill. Decker is hitting the wall very slightly. Seems like Marcel can still drive. Oh, and hitting the inside wall on the gravel. Can he keep it out of the wall? No, hits it with the rear. Now he has to wait and hope nobody hits him there. Can you see what the damage is? Doesn't seem to be too bad. Spins it around. At least he can get going in it. But now Borchert very close to Arndt. Don't want to be that close on the exit because you can't slingshot. And what you basically want to do is slingshot on such a long straight. So you can see how close these two are. Borchert having to go over the curbing. Just can't find his way around the outside there. Conrad still hangs onto this 5th position. Oh, but now actually let him go. No, he didn't. I just was confused with the two liveries. From the front, they look quite the same for me at the moment. The other cars in the background, yeah, also have to keep an eye on if something happens. Oh, Borchardt is misbraking there. It's very easy to misbrake into her corner. Gives Florian a bit of breathing room. But up front, Mr. Mini slowly closing in. Very slowly closing in on Marco Sherdwan. And as said earlier, this, as it stands at the moment, would mean Mr. Mini would keep second position in the standings. But he obviously also want to beat Sherdwan on track. So I know both of them. It's still very close between the two of them. Boy just wanting to get past. Flashing his headlights. Getting as close to the wall as possible, using curbs. So now a bit wide there, all good. Just uses the curbs on the outside. Oh, that was very close from Borchardt. So now I'm braking on the inside, you can do that. Seems to have gone on the power a bit earlier. Borchardt was a bit too much to the outside. Meanwhile, David Kulas just drifting through the left-hand turn for his elbows there. So he lost a bit of time. Third sector, on the second sector. Now Borchardt again having a look to the inside. Brakes very late, but it's a left-hand turn, so you can throw it on the outside, but you need to have significant overlap to have enough to be still in the spot for the right-hand turn. To actually have your advantage play out, but this time he was just too far away. And all of this obviously helps David Kulas, because David Kulas is the one who just can drive freely at the moment. Oh, and there's a little nudge between the two of them. Borchardt is braking later. Luckily, both can continue. While in the background you can also see Dirk Pfeiffer getting close to the Porsche of Jan Decker. And Marcel Löcken seems to have picked up more damage somehow. At least his bonnet is missing by now. Oh, and Florian got all out of shape there. Oh, and Thorsten Borchardt, big drift there through the right-hand turn. Very easy for your car to get loose there, but that was a huge catch by both of them. A little wallbang there, no problem. Borchardt sliding wide again. Oh. Borchardt can go faster through the S's and the Skyline, but it doesn't help him because he can't overtake them. Now it's David Kulas right behind them, all loose as well. That can be a very, very interesting three-way battle there. Oh, and David Kulas losing it on the exit too early and too hard on the throttle. Managed to save, but this cost him time and obviously the opportunity to maybe get a shot at overtaking. Now we can see the slipstream effect. A lot more speed. Is he close enough this time? John blocking the inside again. It's just no opportunity for Borchardt to come through at the moment. So far, currently, Marshadon also seems to have found some pace again against Mr. Mini, but they're very even on pace. I can see Borchardt getting more and more aggressive over time, because he is the faster one of the two at the moment, but he just can't find his way around. But Florian plays it very cleverly, very intelligent, because he knows where to block, because on this track you can't overtake everywhere. Oh, and Dirk Pfeiffer and Jan Decker hard into the wall. and Decker not moving. Dick Pfeiffer has waited. Was there collision between the two of them? Sustained critical damage, and that's a DNF for Jörn Decker. It seems like Dick Pfeiffer wasn't part of the collision. At least it doesn't show in my dash that Dick Pfeiffer was in a collision. So Mira gained quite some time on Mock Shadow now again. But it was a huge hit for the Porsche. You can only see the front left of the car being heavily damaged, but maybe significant or probably engine damage, which is very easy to obtain in the Porsche. And our slipstream battle number, I stopped counting. But now Borchardt already alongside into the chase. Flown out again down to the side. Did he brake too late? No, he didn't. Just get it stopped in time. And it's David Kulas going off the track. Misjudged his braking point a bit. Obviously, he can't brake as late as the R8. I had one of the best cars under braking. And Borchardt still just can't find a way on. Again, tries to counter-attack now down the inside. No, switches to the outside. Fernand let him choose. Just placing in the middle and just looking what Borchardt tries to do. It's a very nice fight between the two of them. Two very different styles at the moment. Now Borchardt down the inside. This is the better line. No, Florian Arndt flashing the lights at Borchardt. Seems like there was no contact between them, also all fair. Oh, and Florian Arndt gets all out of shape. Thorsten Borchardt off, but Borchardt was able to keep the car under control. Florian just lost it on acceleration. Let's see, is there any damage to the suspension? Seems like it's fine. Hit it with the front, so usually that's where you pick up some offset in the steering. But it looks all good by now. Oh, and he loses, and that's a big hit. It's a very big hit, just lost it under braking. And that's a DNF for Florian Arndt. Very unfortunate. It was a very good fight. Very easy to just lose the car there. I've seen drivers doing it in this session already. But now it's David Kula sending it down the inside of Borchardt. Borchardt can brake later in his car, but David Kula's now going around the outside of Borchardt. So now Borchardt again into P6. Won't be too happy about that. It's also the closest fight we have at the moment. Both have a very big gap to the cars in front, and with Newland be the closest. Also 6 seconds, 6.5. Now Borchardt out of slipstream. Oh, David Kula's getting loose on the curbing. Oh, and Borchardt sending it down the inside. David Kula's just says no to that. Again, getting very loose there, and Borchardt has to back out again. Might not have been the best defensive move by Kulas I've seen, but it's Mount Panorama, it's tricky, it's... yeah. Oh, and David Kulas seems to have lost the car, but he managed to keep it on track. Borchardt now too far away to do anything really. So that Kulas can breathe in for a second, but he's a bit nervous there. Lost some time and got him a slot on penalty. Also, with this lap, pit stop window opened. Oh, and Kulas bottoming out on the curbing. He's lost some speed. Borchardt now to the inside. Outbrakes him, but can Kulas come back? The BMW is a bit strong on the straight. So he might well have the upper hand. Now on the outside. Slides right. Just happens on the outside. It's not very grippy. Can't do much about it this lap. Now can he keep it behind through the hill and try to counter-attack on the back straight into the chase? But it seems like Borchardt is just fast enough to get him out of system range, and David Kulas all loose. You can see him really having to work the car to get around turns. Understeering, but still losing the rear. A lot of curb there. Very close to track limits, but... Oh, again, the rear just gets all loose once he hits slide bump. So currently, Gaps has to our first one to have made a split, so Marcel still quite some damage to the Mercedes, but still he now don't have to worry about anything and just can drive to the end of the race. We still got Yannick Mund in front, lead over Marc Chadron, 2.3 seconds, and that has been pretty consistent gap. Mr. Mimi lost out quite some time this lap. But still, P3 would be more than enough for him. So we got Shannon can't quite go the pace of the cars in front, and Borchardt is also faster than him at the moment. But he has a comfortable lead of 7.3 seconds on almost 6.8. So Borchardt also still has to catch that up first. David Kulas, yeah, can't quite go the pace, but we also seen the reason why. And Dick Pfeiffer now into some position going by there, and actually also not finishing the race. So DNF for him as well. It's super unfortunate. Also was on a good way to have quite an okay race finish. So that means Gynäkologe now, because of most retirements, into P8, which would give him quite some points he would need for the championship. P8 would give him 8 points as well, so he would move up one position in standings as well. So let's see. I suspect most people will come in at the halfway mark as it currently stands with the gaps, because nobody is really in a fight, so we don't see much under or overcutting, because the gaps are a bit too big for that. Maybe we can see the front 3 or Markscheid 1 Mr. Minimi do that. But, depending on the pace. Borchardt maybe. But apart from them, I can't really think of people undercutting, because the gaps are too big and it's too easy to react to it. So it's a bit of a stalemate at the moment for all of the drivers. And usually that should then come in at around the 38-minute mark, 37-minute mark, so halfway. With refueling, this will be quite interesting. We've got 3 Audis in the top 5, which will do some time, I suspect, in the pits. Got to get Schroeder in the pits, as it seems. Indeed. Now, is Marcel close enough to take advantage of it? Indeed. Gerd Schroeder now rebooting his car. And now driving again. Marcel moves up 1 spot into P9. Gerd Schroeder also with damage to his car from left. And also that came out as lap traffic. So you can see the 2 Corvettes, and in the background you can also see Mr. Minimi. Gerd Schroeder letting them pass by with anything you could do. Let's see. Is Gerd Schroeder in front there? Lapping at Mount Panorama is super hard, especially in cars of the same class, because it's very easy to misjudge and it's very narrow. You actually, even though the track isn't very narrow, can't use much of the road usually, because you just have those forces of the road acting on you, like off camber or camber to the inside for that regard. But for example, this section, you only have 1 line you can take, and if you go off that line, you will not only lose a lot of time, but you will also risk crashing. So you can't let somebody pass there. You have to wait for the 3 or 4 very small, very short straights to let somebody by, which is very hard. It's also not easy for multi-class, but it's easier because as the faster car, you can usually find your way around the other car, which also is your job. But we had a long time ago, more than a year ago, I think, it was a very cool combination of WTCR and the BMW M235i Cup in the ranked schedule. It was very cool. Didn't end so well for me, because on the last lap into the chase I lost the car and ended my race. But it was a very fun combo. Especially because the BMWs could make it without a stop. The TCRs had to stop. So I actually had more lappings than thought for. But it was very interesting. Indeed, with the different types of cars you've got. The kinda draggy and yeah, I'd say lazy BMW cars. Lazy not in terms of the drivers, but in terms of the cars. They are very understeery. They are very good cars to race, and they are also very popular in that combination. We were way more BMWs than TCRs. But yeah, they were kind of slow through, and then you had the TCRs, front wheel drive, quite a lot of power, especially compared to the BMWs. And very agile and also very active. So you could see the TCRs just trying to keep it on the road, while the BMWs just can drive at the limit lap after lap. It was very fun. As I said, driving the WTCR. And the lappings were a challenge, but they were possible. And especially on the server I drove in, I think it was the Pro B server. It wasn't Pro anymore, it was Gold. The second Gold server it was, I think, so it wasn't that populated. It was kind of clean because everybody respected each other on track. which is obviously very important. But yeah, I mean, seems like there's the sweet spot of drivers where you have a lot of spec, which we also see between a lot of drivers in this race, on KCG for example. If it gets, if it has too many aliens, let's say, too many very good drivers, it can get very aggressive, very yeah, basically unrespectful. Like we've seen in the ranked championship, it was a mess between the cars and the pro GT3 server on the broadcast server, because people didn't really have a lot of respect for each other. It felt like on track, a lot of collisions, a lot of just trying to force your way past. Meanwhile, it was kind of fine on the TCR server where I was. But even there it started to get a bit more aggressive, a bit more forceful. Last season in the GT4s it was very respectful. I had no issues with anyone. In general, I couldn't remember anyone having a real stupid move being made on him or complaining about it. So there's like this, the few sweet spots of drivers where it really is respectful, competitive, and all of that. I mean, driving aggressively is not the same as not being respectful, but if you just try to shove your way through the field and dive bomb everywhere you can, it's not respectful anymore, it's just forceful and not really pro-worthy, let's say. And we are edging closer to the estimated pit window. Let's see, where's Gerd Schröder? I think that should be the coolest behind him, but with quite a gap. Or should already pass him. It's kinda irritating on that car that it only has those lights on the bottom on one side and the other doesn't. Just noticed that. I think it's only this one as well, because the car of Lonside doesn't have it on it. But yeah, gaps slowly increasing, lap times aren't that far apart for most of it, but nobody can really gain on the car in front. Except for Thorsten Borchert and Henrik Newland. Slapping roughly half a second faster. Trying to find some interesting stats or something. I mean, it's the middle phase of an endurance race where nothing really happens. I think we can suspect some fights after the pit stops because the grid will shift a bit. With different pit stop lengths and tire lives. Currently they all are on the basically same tires. Some have a bit higher degradation, some a bit less. But it's low. No, it's David Kulas heavy damage flew off in Murray's corner. And not only doesn't it look fine, it seems to have, yeah, just parks it. No point in continuing that car. Because I think it also had engine damage from what it sounded like. So very unfortunate. It's the same as with Dick 55 Lauren Arendt. Basically the same as with Deccan Fair as well. Good races, but just lost it, and one mistake on this track basically means you're out. It's very unforgiving. That's why that's special. That's also the reason why some argue it's the best racetrack in the world, or the best race in the world is the Bathurst 1000. I mean, I'm not like the one is the best, but it's definitely one of the crown jewels in modern racing, in my opinion. Because it takes a lot of skill, not only Bathurst 1000, the supercars, also the Bathurst 12 hours and stuff. So you have a very competitive level on the track already. And then you also have to, you not only have to drive against other drivers, you have to drive against the track basically. And if then conditions get treacherous and it starts raining, or for some reason animals are on the track again, it's just something you won't get on any other track, not even the Nordschleife. And the Nordschleife already is one of the craziest races with this 24 hours. But it's, I think, not as brutal nowadays, at least, as Bathurst is. Because, as I said, Bathurst has this, yeah, this character still to it. I mean, Nordschleife also never really lost it. But it got a bit smoother, it got a bit safer. And even if you hit the barriers, there is a good chance of continuing nowadays because well, they absorb energy and they are not concrete walls like here. I should just sliding there, nearly losing it again. Also, I believe elevation is way more sudden on Bathurst than on Nordschleife. At Borchardt, closing in the gap to Newland. 1.5 seconds now, close to slipstream range. Is any one of the front runners coming in? Mr. Minimi diving into the pits. First one of the front runners. Getting to the chicane at the entrance as fast as possible. Julian and Borchardt both staying out. And Sargmeister, because of all the drivers making mistakes in P6. I mean, he's quite a long way down, 43 seconds. But P6 is very good points. Should be 10, yep, 10 points. All 4 tires. Now where will he come out? Also keep an eye on this, but they are still too far apart from each other to do anything. Mr. Mimi actually come out behind Sargmeister now, starting up the car and driving again. Coming out in front of Sargmeister. This might be important for the cars who are behind. So Newland and Borchardt. Because the gap is more than 10 seconds. And they have 7 seconds behind them, so they might come out behind Sargmeister. If he doesn't come in as well, in the lap they come in. So Enigmund still comes out, but Noxshed one coming into the pits. 60 kph at the sign. Also a very cool pit entry if you ask me. So Newland and Borchardt both staying out now. This will be interesting. Between Mr. Minimi and Maxshed, and Maxshed obviously knowing that Minimi will be fast on the outlap with the fresh tires. Let's see, Mr. Minimi now into the chase. Ten seconds between the two of them. Mark Shadow now driving again, but still pitting it. Oh, and something happened. No, it's Marcel spun around, and now the two Audis coming through. Good reaction by him to just pull back there. Mark Shadow driving on the track again. Mr. Mini now out of her corner. Not enough. 5 seconds the gap, so Mini actually lost quite some time on his outlap as well. Or as said, on a refueling by the side, I think his outlap got fine. Newland and Borchardt below second, the gap. So still not quite close enough to get proper slipstream. But will we see an undercut? Might be worth considering here. Or maybe an overcut. Kologe in the box. Yannick Mund as well. So let's see. Borchardt dives into the pits. And that will be very interesting. Sargmeister in Skyline. Maybe they have enough of a gap now. And that means Newland now takes the lead of the race. Obviously, still has to do his pit stop, but some leading kilometers. Yannick Mund driving again, and now cross the line out of the pits. Mark Shadron now braking for hill corner. It's also around 5 seconds a gap. So Minimi moves up into P4 or P3 without pit stops. Oh, and Sargmeister also comes into the pit, so both Borchardt and Newland don't have to worry about him. That would have been very interesting, to be honest, if he would have decided to stay out. Oh, Borchardt accelerating with a lot of wheel spin there. Just getting the tires up to heat. And out of the pits he goes. Now Newland, will he come in immediately or will he try to stay out as long as possible, having the fresher tires at the end? Braking late for the chase. He stays out another lap. Let's take a look at his lap time. His last one was a 2:51. 2:58. Won't have a good lap time from Borchert, obviously, because he was in the pits. So you can't compare to his pace at the moment. But we'll see. Kollege also just 2 seconds behind Sargmeister. He was last lap in the pits. Sargmeister as well. For some reason his lap was around 40 seconds slower. Maybe because his pit was behind the timing line. Would explain it, because Sargmeister also has a 2:14. Borchert has a 3:4. Shows how much he will lose in the pits. Oh, there's Gerd Schröder spinning in the S's. Very easy to do. Lost the whole front of his car. There's Markus Chadron coming through. And now Mr. Minimi. Also just getting past him as well. Thorsten Borchert lost a lot of time, if I'm not mistaken. He's 26 seconds behind Mr. Minimi. Newland staying out yet another lap. But this is a huge gap. I wonder if Borchert refueled more than he had to, because he underfueled at the start and lost out time because of that or something. Yannick Mund, I mean, we don't see him much, but he's basically leading the whole race. Virtually leading. Nobody can really get close to him. Very good lap times. Second best lap time out of everyone. Only one who's been fast. No, actually not. It's very interesting. Mr. Minimi has the fastest lap time of the race so far with the 2:03.572. Then it's Markus Chadron with the 2:03.653. And Yannick Mund with the 2:03.656. So the best lap is actually very much the same between the two Corvettes. I'd say Markus Chadron not really on pace to match Yannick Mund. You just need one car to get between him and Minimi. Actually, because Newland still has to go into the pits. It would still not be enough, so Mr. Minimi very well on his way to just take second place in the championship. Just needs to bring it home. And even if Markus Chadron should somehow catch up to Yannick Mund or get past him, better said. So finish the race in P1 while Mr. Minimi keeps it in P3, he would win the race and get P2 in the standings by 1 point. But that's 6.5 seconds between the two of them. So it would need Yannick Mund to make a huge mistake, but still being able to carry on afterward. So Newland now into the pits. And now let's keep an eye on him and Borchert. We sadly don't have the track map available. But where's Borchert? He's now down for his elbows. now everyone has done their pit stop. Thorsten Borchardt into the chase. Newland now driving again. And it should be a comfortable lead for the Dutch driver, shouldn't it? Not as comfortable. Borchardt on the start-finish line, and Henry Newland now able to drive through penalty for Newland. That's basically being behind Borchardt then, but very unfortunate. He would have had a 5-second cushion to Borchardt and the better tires. So definitely the upper hand, but with the drive-through, it's basically over with P4. And Borchardt will have P4 just hand it over to him. And Kologo just a bit slower than Sargmeister, can't really get closer. Lap times at the front also getting very fast. Yannick Mundt a 2:03.1, that's a new best lap of the race by far. But Mark Chadron also on a 2:03.909 and Mr. Minimi on a 2:03.796. Borchardt on a 2:03.781. So they're getting the 2:03s pretty consistently now at the front with the lighter cars. Newland now coming in for his drive-through penalty. This time being very cautious not to get another one. That's rule number 1 when serving a drive-through penalty, don't get another one. No, he actually seems like he has automated pit stops activated and forgot to activate yeah, he's changing to... Seems like he has forgotten to actually activate drive-through penalty serving in his pit stop menu. That will cost him probably positions to Sargmeister and Kologo as well. Very easy to do that mistake if you have manual pit stops, as most people do. You can just drive through without having to set anything up, but with automated pit stop you really have to have an eye on it. Mr. Minimi is closing in on Marco Chadron actually. His last lap again, 2/10 faster. So the eye is really faster, but he also lost out time on the pit stop. So with 25 minutes to go, that's about 12 laps, 13 laps. And after this 1:12 should be. Be very close between the two of them if the difference in lap time will continue like that. So Marco Chadron now coming across the line. His last lap at 2:03.861. Some Minimi 2:03.739. So another 10. Borchardt now through the chase. Let's see what he can do. Last lap time at 2:03.983. And this one is faster. It's a 2:03.855. Matches the speed of Chadron, loses out a bit to Minimi. Yannick Mundt in a whole nother dimension at the moment, 2:03.352. So he really does show off why he won the championship. Lap is really fluctuating between the two of them as well, so can't really use that as a reference point during the lap. You can see it jumps from 5.5 to 6.5 and back, and I think Gynekologe lost more time to Saatmeister. And having learned this time properly serving his drive through penalty in Saatmeister. Now to the final turn. He will at least get quite close to Newland. Now Newland has served his drive-throughs. Still in P5. Will still be good points, 11 to be exact. Selection appears to be in a collision. Now being lapped by Yannick Mund. Puts him a lap down again. So Marco Sharon on this lap, 2:03.736. Mr. Minimi, 2:04.188, so he lost out 4/10. I mean to look at the thousands as well, but it's easily 4/10. Seems to have had a slight mistake somewhere. And Yannick Mund still lapping at his best laps. His best lap at 2:03.164. His last lap at 2:03.179. Borchardt at 2:03.82. So top 4 in terms of lap time is very good. Marcel braking a bit too late over the curb. That could have been painful. Somehow kept it under control. Just went in a bit too hot there. Let's see. This time Yannick Mund. Cross the line in front, this is Gerd Schröder. At 2:03.629. For him probably a slow lap, but still one of the fastest of the race. Mark Shadwan 2:04.4. Saminimi at 2:04.69. So both lost out on Yannick Mund and in general, so maybe tires are starting to drop, even though the weight of the cars is obviously getting lighter. So Thorsten Borchardt at 2:03.7, close to second he made up, but he's 23 seconds behind Mr. Minimi. If he can catch that up, that would be a huge feat, but I don't think this is possible, to be completely honest. Mund's closing in on Gynekologe there to lap him. And we're getting some slipstream on the way, on the straight. Getting nicely out of the way there. Must see this behind is Schröder, I think, yes it is. And then it's Mark Sharon. Oh, in between it's also Marcel Löcken. So Mark Sharon now has 3 cars in front to lap. Also explained why Yannick Mund lost out on his lap time again at 2:03.8. Maybe because of the lappings. Or probably because of the lappings. Mark Chadron 2039. And Mr. Minimi 2037, so again 2 times faster. Overall the gap is still pretty consistent at 5.5. With only 17 minutes to go, it can be tight. Getting nicely out of the way there. But, as said, Minimi doesn't have to overtake Sharon. Just needs to keep in that position. Or he could even lose out one position, but Corsair is too far away for this to happen at the moment, unless he does a mistake. See Sharon approaching on gt-rennserien. Obviously Minimi will catch up now, because Sharon is in traffic. But on the other hand, he will also have to get through the traffic. Schroeder getting completely off the throttle to let both Sharon and Löcken pass, because Löcken is also one lap in front. This time around 8/10, Minimi gained on Sharon. Obviously Minimi now also getting the better slipstream from Schröder there, because he could get past on the straight. Just a little vehicle there. Maybe tires are cooled down a bit too much. Can easily happen on the track like this with such long straights. And Imund running in on the back of Sargmeister. Sharon has a bit of breathing room now, but will not take much time until he will close in on Gynekologe to get past him. Just needs to hope for the best on where he will lap him. Same for Minimi with the lapping, but it seems like he will lap him on a straight, which will obviously help him out a lot. Oh, little wall tap there. Just couldn't get it stick to the inside. Really get the toe from Master Löcken. That's the line, maybe a bit. Obviously can't see his speedometer, because that would be a bit unfair to the people watching the stream and racing, because they could gather data from it. Another toe. Shouldn't be underestimated how much toe can. Oh, and Löcken braking too late there. Having to get out of the way to not hit Master Löcken there. Shouldn't have cost him too much time. Still lost 5/10 this lap, according to the lap time. And Mark Shannon now getting a very nice toe from the Porsche, but he also has to get past him. Yannick Mund is already past Sargmeister, yep. Oh, and getting loose there, and now also with the Porsche. Braking on the inside. Oh, Marcus Sharon hard into the wall there. Because he was on the outside and obviously left space on the inside to not collide with Kologe there, who left space. I wanted to let him go. Just made him all loose. Enemy will probably encounter the Porsche at quite the same spot as Sharon. Let's look at lap times this time, it will be very interesting. I think Sharon was something like 8/10 slower. His lap time is a 2:05.2, so that lapping really cost him a lot of time. Mini-Me, meanwhile, a 2:04.4. So I still lost out a bit due to the lapping of Master Löcken, but obviously didn't lose as much as Sharon did. And maybe Mini-Me gets lucky and Kologe can get fast enough, or is fast enough for Mini-Me to encounter him on the back straight in the chase, but it will be tight. Oh, and all loose there. Kept it straight there. That here obviously also being a thing in GT3s, especially here at this track, 5-speed corners. And this is kind of the worst spot for Mini-Me now, if he has to wait for the Porsche. Seems like he doesn't. Now he has, that will lose him a lot of time, especially because he lost the one for the whole straight. Might be a big relief for Shadron, who knows. It was very unlucky for both of them. Shadron now closing in on Lord Sargmeister. Newland also just did his new personal best, or his best lap time of the race, 2:04.566. Mark Shannon are also not in the best spot to lap the Mercedes. But as it goes, the gap is too big for Mini-Me to catch up. Meanwhile behind, battle is forming between Master Löcken and Gynekologe for P7. Gynekologe actually been doing a very good job, not hit a wall so far. Car completely intact. I mean, Master Löcken still hangs onto it. Very respectable to still drive such a car, but yeah, he flew off on more than one occasion. But he's still driving. Oh no, misses the braking marker, just keeps it in the limits. Sharon is already past Sargmeister. Cost him quite some time though. Mini-Me will hope to get past the Mercedes a bit better. I'm still lapping at a very rapid pace. 203.283 in this lap. Enemy gained 5/10 this lap, and also still has to lap one more car. You can see in the distance there. I think he will also encounter it in the hills. Let's see, this is gonna be interesting. I think there's a big enough gap. This is the part of the track where you gain the most on cars that are slower than you usually, because this is one of the decisive parts for lap times. So Meister still tank this turn normally, which will help me. Getting close to the wall there. Oh, and Master Löcken very close to Gynäkologe now. And had the best exit there. But I bet this car isn't the easiest to drive anyway. Let's see. So Master Löcken not quite close enough. Taking a lot of curb there, very aggressive. Somebody lost out the 4/10 he gained the gap before. So it's just a back and forth between the two of them, and we've got approximately 3 laps to go. Master Löcken edging closer and closer in the slipstream now. Has a look here inside. I'm sorry. Has a look up the inside. Decided to back out of it. Might be the better idea into the right hand turn. We already seen a collision there. Oh, and Master Löcken getting so close to the wall, it actually sparked. Probably because he bottomed out on the curbing. Oh, and then another hit into the wall. I don't think he cares that much at this point, judging by the state of his car. Oh, and getting very close into all out of shape. The car just slides. Sketched it again. Now it's just about getting close again to try another attack in the first straight. Yeah, I can see the engine actually cutting out because he got into the rev limiter. It was not a lift. So as I said, the slipstream is very powerful. Oh, and Gynecologue going wide there. Over the curbing, you can do it, but it's, you don't want to hit the wall necessarily. So like now getting wide himself. Can he keep it close behind this time? Oh, getting all of the shape there. Just letting the rear end slide. Bit more respect to the walls after his excursion. First skyline. So now this time, actually in quite a good distance for his link shot. He has the better power. He also has a lot more drag because of the damage. But still should be fine. See him now sucking himself closer and closer and closer. Now into the kink. He opts to stay behind. Gynecologue just fending him off. Had the better exit as well now. Down into Mary's corner. So the Porsche also has the better traction because those are the two slowest corners on the circuit. Apart from first elbows, I think. And now again. Also a little closer than before, but the straight is also a bit shorter. Will he launch an attack? It's maybe one of his last. No, he opts to stay behind. And this indeed will be the last lap. He will try and move into the chase, I think. Oh, Yannick Mutt sliding all the way down. First elbows there. And now one last time. There's one car in front. It's one of the Audis. I think it's Hendrik. Yep, it is. So Yannick Mutt one last time through the chase. You can also see how close to the grass he breaks. One last time onto the start-finish straight. Weaving back and forth. And it's a win for Yannick Mutt. It's the championship. Congratulations. Well deserved. Very well done. Slides it through a corner then. It's Mark Chardon in second position. But let's just quickly check in on Master Löcken and Gynecologue side by side close. Gynecologue just closing the door. He's got one last chance. Murray's corner, you can do something. It's very risky, but he's too far away. Oh, slight contact there. Both killing, but Gynecologue keeps in 7th. Mr. Minimi comes in 3rd. That will mean he will remain in P2 in the championship. Congratulations to him and Markus Chadouin as well. Then we've got Thorsten Borchardt coming in P4. After a very spectacular race for him. Yeah, and we can see the celebrations by Master Löcken and Gynecologue. Sargmeister P6, very well done as well. Just kept it off over. And Henrik Newland on the last lap. Spun it in the S's. Just needs to complete that lap to finish in P5. Will guarantee him P4 in the standings. So, would be very important for him to finish it. Last car on track, I think. Yep, indeed. It's already finished. Gerd Schröder in P9. Very good job by him as well. Already celebrating. Now one final time down to Mary's corner. Could have fought for P4 maybe in this race, but P5 is more than enough for him. Congratulations, P5, and there we have our final standings. Yannick Mund winning championship, the race, and the fastest lap of the race. Lights to flags victory. Congratulations. Then we've got Markus Shadwan in second, Minimi in third, Thorsten Borchardt in P4 after very hard fighting with David Kulas and Florian, who both unfortunately couldn't finish the race. Then we've got Henrik Newland in P5, Sargmeister P6, Gynekologe P7, and Marcel Löcken P8, and Gerd Schröder, the last of the finishers, P9. David Kulas, as said, couldn't finish the race unfortunately after his impact on the start finish, on the Mary's corner, I think. Dirk Pfeiffer unfortunately lost his car. Florian Arndt, as well as Jan Decker and Michael Fehr. So, yeah, what a race. Been pretty full of action, let's say. Was very cool to commentate on, even though it died out a bit in the mid-pack, but that happens in longer races like this. Yeah, as said, congratulations to Yannick Mund for finishing P1 the championship, Minami P2 and Sharon P3. And if you want to join races like those, if you say that was cool, you can check the first link in the description. That's the gt-rennserien Discord. Very nice people, very nice community. And they want to do stuff like this next year as well, as far as I know. So definitely check them out. Can also check them out in the internet, www.gt-rennserien.de. And I think that was it from my side. I hope everyone had fun watching, driving. I had fun commentating. And yeah, I think we will see you on next time. I said, check it out. And I don't really have much to add. Congratulations to everyone who finished, to everyone who raced, and to everyone who participated in the championship. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.